Hey everyone, welcome to week 5. This is the midpoint of the semester. Just a couple of quick updates, so I thought I'd put them all on a PowerPoint presentation here. First of all, the midterm course evaluation is open. Check your UB email, and there should be an email with a link to evaluate all your courses. Um, Remember, there's extra credit based on the class response rate. So the higher the response rate, the more extra credit everyone gets. It should only take a couple of minutes at most to do. Um, so this week we're talking about single system designs, and the assignment due is the single system design proposal. So it doesn't have to be any longer than, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, that kind of thing. This is really just to make sure you're setting up a good sort of feasible project. So identify a participant, and I would use yourself. This is an exercise. We wouldn't ordinarily do that, but since this is an exercise, it's okay to use yourself. Look for a dependent variable and a way to measure that dependent variable. You're going to need a survey or an assessment of some kind. There's quite a few of these available online, so that's a good place to look. And if you need to, contact me for suggestions. I've got a bunch I can pass on to you. After that, identify an intervention. It should sort of make sense for your dependent variable, and then identify a research design. And if you're watching this right now and you haven't watched the lecture yet, you may not be sure about single system research designs, but I cover them in this week's lecture. So that'll start to put the pieces together. So here's an example. So the client could be me, the dependent variable could be stress, and my plan to reduce my own stress levels is 15 minutes of daily intervention, and the design I'm going to use is an A/B design. Second example might be something like, again, using the client as me, the dependent variable could be sleep quality, measured with the sleep quality scale, which again is available online. My intervention is going to be turning off phone, computer, electronics, iPad, that kind of thing, 1 hour before bed, and then I'm going to use an ABA design. So the single system design is sort of the second of the 2 papers in this class. The first one is the lit review. So you're going to look to actually conduct or actually implement the single system design starting around week 6 or 7, and then you're looking at about 15 measurements minimum. So figure 1 measurement per day, and about 5 in each phase, maybe a little bit more if you only have 2 phases. The grades for this are not based on successful change or successfully reducing that dependent variable. The grades are based on sort of implementing and interpreting the single system design and the data. So whether or not you change doesn't really matter. It's really based on sort of the quality of the assignment. So the other thing that's probably going on is, or the other thing to be thinking about in this class is the lit review papers. So it's time to start sort of reading literature for the full lit review paper. You're looking for about 15 sources at a minimum. Now, when you read papers, you don't have to get bogged down in the details like sample size and statistical techniques and things like that they used. What you're looking for when you read the papers that will inform your lit review is the big ideas. So where do you find them? Well, you find them in the abstract, the introduction and the lit review, which is that first section of a journal article. Pay attention especially to the last paragraph, which often tells you what the point or the goal of the paper is. I would, if I were you, I would skim the methods and the results section, but then I would read very carefully the discussion section and especially pay attention to the first and last paragraphs. In the first and last paragraphs in the discussion, that's usually where people will put a sort of a succinct overview of what it is they're doing, and they'll sort of give you those big ideas in a couple of sentences or so. Um, so what kinds of things are you talking about in a lit review? Well, that's a hard question to answer for everyone because everyone's topic is different. And it's actually hard to do without having read the literature first. So the first thing you're really going to want to do is read and take notes on the literature, on those that minimum of 15 articles that you'll find. Um, so to start to think about how to structure a lit review, though I usually propose kind of a thought experiment. And the thought experiment is very simple. Imagine that you're having lunch with a friend who knew you were an expert in that topic. They ask you, they ask you what it is that the topic is all about, and you decide to tell them three things. And so think about what three things you would tell them, and then structure your lit review around around those ideas. Now, you may not ultimately stick with three things. You may go to four or five things, but that's sort of a good way to start, and a useful kind of thought experiment. So other things to sort of think about, since most of us are writing about social problems, you're going to want to talk about the prevalence of the problem, how widespread it is, who experiences it, the precipitants of the problem, so what kinds of things lead to it, the consequences of the problem, which are the things that follow the problem if it's untreated, and then interventions for the problem. How do we intervene on it? So again, lit reviews I know they can be tough, and I know maybe one with this many sources is something you haven't done before. So I'm happy to read drafts. I'm also happy to consult with you one-on-one. Just get in touch. We can set up a phone call or a Zoom meeting or something like that. So lastly, I'm going to do office hours again, Tuesday, June 23rd, 4:30 to 5:30. I'll post the Zoom link just like before. Feel free to stop by anytime, say hi. We can talk about any questions you have, or whatever you like, including current events. So thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great week, and we'll hope to see you on Tuesday.